ain't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Eevee and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. All right, so today's video, we're going to be talking a little bit more about some X-Men from the Ashes news. Some new details came out about another new series called Sentinels. Yeah, you heard that right. A comic about the anti-mutant killing machines that have plagued the X-Men since time immemorial in the Marvel Comics universe, and now they have their own series. Sort of. No, this is not going to be a comic about the giant walking, somewhat talking robots that love to unalive mutants with impunity. No, this is actually going to be a series about some smaller variety of Sentinels. These will actually be cyborg Sentinels, so not necessarily Sentinels in the strictest sense. But let's take a look at what we got here and we'll just kind of go from there. The press release for the series says that with a new era of mutant kind comes a new breed of mutant hunting machines. This October the 9th to be precise, a squad of soldiers, each one scarred from earth-shattering superhero conflicts and upgraded with nanotechnology, are tasked with apprehending dangerous mutants that threaten coexistence in Sentinels. The 5-issue limited series will be written by Alex Packnadel, who, if you're unfamiliar, is the writer of Red Goblin, and drawn by Justin Mason, who is known for their work on Spider-Punk. This is actually a pretty interesting little development. This is something that was actually teased about a day or two prior with a little image that basically showed off the characters that we can expect to see. Those characters being Drumfire, who seems to be tied to the King in Black and Onslaught event, another character referred to as Sawtooth, who seems to have been affected by the events of Secret Empire, another character named Lockstep, who seemed to fall prey to the aftermath of the events of the death of Doctor Strange, another character named Voivod, who seems to have been a victim of World War Hulk. We don't know the full extent of how these events affected these characters, but they definitely were negatively affected by this. So these are people who have skin in the game, and this kind of reminds me a little bit of what we got from Benjamin Percy's X-Force series, where we were introduced to a character who wasn't necessarily a cyborg. They were a regular human, but they had been negatively affected by the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants from like back in the heyday of the X-Men, like before the X-Men were legitimately good, like a legitimately good comic. Let's just be honest with ourselves. I know there's gonna be that one person who gets mad, says, oh, this man's disrespecting the X-Men. He's disrespecting the X-Men. No, let's just be real with ourselves. The X-Men don't exist to me until Giant Size X-Men #1. Let's just remember that. And honestly, I think the X-Men as you probably know them don't really exist to you until Giant Size X-Men #1. I think that's probably the same for a lot of people. I don't think that's a controversial statement by any stretch of the imagination. The X-Men were ass before Giant Size X-Men #1. Let's just be honest, man. Hell, the book was going to be canceled. Let's just remember that. But anyway, point of the matter here is that while the X-Men regroup in the wake of Krakoa's fall, the government revives their infamous Sentinel program under the guidance of Lawrence Trask. Ooh, oh, we gotta back away from that. We gotta back away from that because there's a lot going on with this. You know that name, Bolivar Trask, the guy who was responsible for the creation of the Sentinels. Well, it seems like this Lawrence Trask is plucked right off the family tree. We don't really know exactly what his connection is to it yet. This press release doesn't really seem to give anything away, but this person, Lawrence Trask, is a mutant himself. Lawrence is cursed with visions of an apocalyptic species war and knows exactly which evil mutants will ignite it. On the surface, his new line of Sentinels appear to be technology-enhanced superhumans, but the truth behind their creation is darker than you can imagine. As Grey Malkin Prison becomes home to the villains they capture, the pieces fall into place for the birth of a major new enemy that will define the first year of the X-Men's From the Ashes era. This statement says a lot. Like, it says a lot. For one, How these people will be created, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know how this is gonna pan out. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be something incredibly problematic. I think that is safe enough to say. It's gonna be something that's problematic enough that it's gonna make for an interesting twist in all of this. And then just, you know, the Grey Malkin prison thing, that's not news. I've been talking about that since even before it was revealed. The X-Mansion, which, you know, was formerly, you know, the home of the mutants, the place that everyone was so afraid the X-Men were going to be going back to, that was going to be their base of operations after having their own island. No, it's actually a prison now. So yeah, no X-Mansion for the X-Men unless they fuck around and find out and wind up getting in prison there. Now, as for who the new enemy is going to be, honestly, I feel like this press release could be going a couple of different ways, because it's kind of implying that it could be someone that's in the, you know, Grey Malkin prison, or it could just be Lawrence Trask himself. You could kind of take that, you know, one of a couple of different ways, honestly. But yes, here we go. We have a breakdown of who the Sentinels are. It says that the original Sentinel program was human supremacy and fear coded into circuitry, but now their legacy falls into the hands of mutant kind, powered by cutting-edge nanotech. This new generation of Sentinels protects a fragile peace between mutants and humans. But when being a Sentinel is your job, your life, is it possible to stay human? Meet Sawtooth, Lockstep, Drumfire, and Voivod, a brand new team of heroes that will take on the most heinous mutants. Their first mission, capture Omega Red. Okay, so this actually makes things a little more interesting. These characters are not villains, so maybe my statement about Lawrence Trask is a little off, but who knows? But the thing is, these guys are, and I think this is very important here to keep in mind, these guys are trying to protect the peace between mutants and humans. They're not hunting mutants specifically with the express purpose of subjugating them, but to keep them off the table in the event that they're going to do something bad. And I feel like there's probably going to be some Minority Report shenanigans going on here, some Civil War II shenanigans going on here, because this is all based on Lawrence's ideas, his visions of what's to come. He is going to be going after people who have probably yet to do the thing that they're ultimately going to do, is what's going to happen here. So this actually seems like a mini Civil War II that's going to be going on here. So can't wait to see how that plays out. Now, this next one is a statement from Alex Packnadell saying that as an X-fan going back to my first set of teeth, I couldn't be prouder or more excited to share Sentinels with fans. This book is about flawed human beings doing a dirty job for a dirty cause, and Justin Mason and I are determined to make you care about each and every one of them. Whatever your expectations are going in, I promise, this book will surprise you. I think it's safe to say it will. I think it's very safe to say it will. Alex is a good writer. I think this is gonna be interesting if nothing else. Like, I'm excited for this. Like, I didn't think I would want to read a book about, you know, humanoid Sentinels. That is, you know, like human-based Sentinels. I didn't think I would, but I mean, when you think about it, when we've had characters like Omega Sentinel, who has been a very interesting character over her publication history, I think it's safe to say this can actually work. Not only that, I do feel like the idea of these guys being heroes, not being like your stock standard Sentinels who are just out to enforce supremacy, is, you know, a step in the right direction. Might actually make this even more interesting than it possibly could have been. And even if they kind of play with the notion that these guys are technically trying to do something good, but also at the same time probably doing something bad, once again, I feel like whenever you're dealing with operating off of your visions of a future that could potentially happen, you're gonna wind up doing some things that are gonna ultimately make you the bad guy, most likely. I say this because I wonder if that twist of Civil War II is going to come into play. Like, for those of you may or may not remember, but the character Ulysses, who was the whole reason why Captain Marvel was doing what she was doing, going after people who had not done anything yet, we got to remember, those visions weren't necessarily 100% going to come to pass. It was revealed during Civil War II that those visions had a pretty wide margin for error. And in more than a few cases, the visions didn't even come to pass. So I wonder if that's going to be something similar with Lawrence Trask. If there's going to be some kind of a reveal somewhere down the stretch that his visions aren't necessarily 100% set in stone. Something to think about. I'm interested. I'm definitely interested. I want to read this. I want to check it out. This is going to be, I believe, 5 issues. It's going to be dropping October the 9th. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. You guessed it, obligatory channel outro time. If you're not subscribed to the channel, consider doing so. Clicking that subscribe button and tapping that notification bell ensures that you get more videos just like this one, and you don't miss any of my other content that I drop throughout the week, plus my live streams every Thursday and Saturday. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you click that like button, keep it plus ultra, and sound off in the comments.